Can you guys make Etsy your full-time job? Sure you can, but honestly, a few people will actually do that. And today I want to dive into why exactly that is, how I specifically went full-time from the corporate world to doing Etsy full-time, and how you guys can follow that same path. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to the Handmade and Beyond podcast. Glad to be back with you. Glad to be talking in your ear, in your car speakers, wherever you're listening to me. I am LL, your host and your guide through your Etsy and your handmade business and journey. All right, before we get started, I have something for you guys that are struggling to get to your first 100 Etsy sales. It's a free guide telling you exactly what to do in your Etsy business to help you get to 100 sales and beyond sooner than later. If you have more than 100 sales, this guy can still help you out. There's still some good information in there. It's a free download. You can get it at handmadeandbeyond.com/100 sales. Download it today, read it, implement it, start chipping away and getting closer to that 100 sale mark. I'm back with another really good episode for you, and this is something that I don't honestly talk about a lot, even though I left the corporate world. I had a pretty cushy corporate job as a director, lots of employees under me, and I decided to step away 3 years ago. Well, I think it's almost 4 years ago now, to do Etsy full time, and I haven't looked back ever since. And even though I do that, and I'm still doing Etsy full time, I don't really like to talk about it a whole lot, even though I know it can be inspiring. I don't want to give people the wrong impression. It's almost like clickbait, right? It's like, oh, you can leave the next day and do Etsy full time. It's totally easy, right? Anyone can do it. No, it is not easy. It is very, very hard in actuality, but it is absolutely possible. 100%. There's thousands and thousands of Etsy sellers that do Etsy full time and make a full time living. And I'm not talking about people that leave and do it full time and don't make any money. I'm talking about people that live and survive off the money that they only make on their Etsy business. That is what I'm talking about. But it's not easy. It takes work, it takes dedication, and that's really what I kind of want to beat into your head in this episode, because I want to inspire you. I want you to know that it's possible for you, but I also want you to have the right expectations, the right mindset when you're going into this, and that it's going to take time, mostly, sometimes, usually years, to be able to set yourself up to be able to go full time. You can't just open a shop, magically make thousands and thousands of sales and leave like some of the people on social media want you to believe, that it's a get rich quick type thing. No, it's a business, and most businesses you have to build from the ground up, and that takes time, dedication, and consistency to be able to do that. Just because it's online doesn't mean that it is magic. It works the same way online as it does brick and mortar. It's not you're going to go down the street, rent an office building, put a bunch of stuff in there, open it up, and the next day it's going to be packed with people. No, there's a lot more that goes into it than just opening the store, putting an open sign on the store. Same thing with your Etsy shop. You can't just open it up and expect people to flood in there and buy everything. So that's kind of the mindset and the expectations that I want to kind of instill before we even dive into this episode and get started, because I think that's so very, very important. And you see that people complain and say Etsy sucks and doesn't work and yada, yada, yada. They don't have the right mindset. They don't have the right expectations. So I want to make sure that you, as my listener, have that, because you're awesome, and I know you're thinking about this the right way. All right, so why won't most people ever take their business full time? This is something that I think is really important to think about. What are the reasons that people won't go full time in their Etsy business? Well, I think a big one is that I come across all the time, as I talk to the students and the people that I coach, is fear. And this gets in the way of everything. It mucks up everything in our lives, right? We're scared to take chances. We're scared to take risks. We're scared to put ourselves out there. And what does that do? It puts us on the sideline, puts us on the bench. We don't ever get in the game, so then we can't ever get the touchdown, the home run. We can't ever get the accolades. We can't ever score big. That's what it does. It puts us on the sideline. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wake up one day, an old man or an old lady, and be like, "Oh, I have a lot of regret, and I'm probably a little upset at myself because I didn't do the thing because I was scared. I was scared of it not working, scared of rejection, all that stuff. You got to put that to the side of you. Fear is natural. It's our natural defense mechanism. Fear is human. But in order to move forward, you got to put the fear aside. You got to do the thing. Chances are you're probably going to fail. That doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means you got to move on and pivot, learn from that failure, until you find that thing that's successful. Most very famous people have failed a ton, but you don't know anything about that because you only see their success. Same thing with Etsy, same thing with the top sellers on Etsy. You don't see all the failures. You don't see the products that didn't work. You don't see the shops that didn't sell. You only see what they're doing now. You don't see all the work behind it. You only see the tip of the iceberg, which is the success. So that is a big reason. Another one is time. I hear this all the time. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to work on my business. I have kids. I have a husband, a wife, a job, all that stuff. Listen, if you want it to work, you got to find the time. And everyone has the same amount of hours in the day to build their business. The difference is the successful people have found the time in those 24 hours to chip away at their business. The unsuccessful businesses have not. They have not chipped that away. So most of you guys probably watch TV too much. I admittedly do as well because it's a nice escape. But can you cut some of that out? Can you work on your breaks? Can you work on your brunch? Not on your brunches. You're not going to work on brunch. Can you work on your lunches? Can you chip out even if it's 5 minutes a day? That stuff adds up. It really does. So you got to chip away at it whenever you have time. You got to make the time. No excuses. That will separate the girls from the women, the boys from the men, if I could spit it out. the man boys from the boys men. You guys get what I'm saying, but you got to find the time to dedicate to your business if it's something that you really want. The next one is money, of course. This is something that gets in the way. I get it. You guys don't have money to invest in your business, but you got to find some money to invest in your business. Doesn't mean you can't do it inexpensively. You don't have to buy and make a whole bunch of products up front before you know what if they're going to sell. You can do it a little bit at a time. Find materials that are cheaper. Find ways to make money to invest in your business. I did a podcast or an episode or a YouTube video a while back, and I remember I was talking about different ways to fund your business. And I was talking about doing yard sales, and some troll made a comment like, "Oh, this episode is about like people doing yard sales." I'm like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do to make a little bit extra cash. If you don't have money coming in, get creative. A yard sale is an easy thing to do. Everyone has crap laying around their house that they can probably sell that they're not using. So you could do a yard sale, probably make $100 pretty easily, and it's not hard to do. You can sell stuff online. You can sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Sell stuff on eBay. There's a lot of ways to make some extra cash to fund your business, to fund your dream. So don't stick your nose at some of these things that are not that hard to do and are pretty easy ways to make an extra few $100s, which should go into buying materials and inventory for your business. All right, and last but not least is preparation or preparedness, however you want to say the word. A lot of sellers, a lot of people that want to do a business are not prepared to open and run a business. They didn't do the legwork. They didn't do the research. They didn't find their niche appropriately. They're just throwing things out there without any research behind it, and they don't really know what the heck they're doing. And you can't just say, when you're doing a business, a lot of people come, they open a shop, and they just want to make the money, which is good. I mean, that's what we all want, right? But they have absolutely no interest in what they're selling. Therefore, they didn't prepare. They don't really know if it's something that people want. They don't really know the appropriate how to market it, the right keywords, because they didn't invest in the business as far as knowledge and research. Therefore, they are not going to do well. They don't really care about the niche. They don't really care about what they're selling. They just want the money. And people can see that. People can tell. You're going to lose interest really fast, and you're going to peter out, and you're going to close your shop. So that is a big one. There's a lot involved in that. You got to at least prepare some. You got to, open the doors and be dedicated to what you're doing. Be invested for the long haul, not the short. I want to make a few bucks really fast, and that's what's going to keep you going, going to keep you motivated, keep you engaged in your business. So a lot of the shops that peter out, I see it's something that they're not really interested in selling what they're selling. So of course, they're not ever going to be able to go full time. They're not ever going to be able to grow their business because they have absolutely no interest in doing so. It's like being forced to do something you don't want to do. You're probably going to do it in a half-assed way, So keep that in mind, and if you're going to do it, go all in. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you do your due diligence and your research for what it is that you're going to be selling and making and bringing to market. All right, so with all that being said, all the reasons why people don't go full-time, now you know, so you can avoid those reasons and work your way through them, which I hope you do. Hopefully you don't use those reasons when really they're excuses, so that you guys can meet your goals. Maybe you don't want to go full-time. Maybe you just want to have a nice, robust part-time business. That's cool too. That's great. Whatever you guys want to do, don't let those excuses get in the way of what you want to do and reaching your goals. So now I want to talk about how specifically I went full-time. The steps that I took to actually go full-time, leave my corporate job of 11 years. So the first thing I did, and this is something I touched on a little bit earlier, is I sacrificed to build my business on the side. I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm quitting my job. Hopefully this Etsy thing works out. Hopefully I make enough money to survive. I absolutely didn't do that. I built my business on the side while working full time. So I chipped away at it. I found those chunks of time to build my business up enough to where I could step away, and I was comfortable with what I was making on Etsy, to step away and be able to sustain myself, my life, be able to pay my bills, of course. So that, I worked on, I got 2 15-minute breaks. I tried to work at least on one of those breaks. Again, 50 minutes isn't much, but you can accomplish a decent chunk of stuff in 15 minutes if you put your mind to it. And then most lunches, probably 4 out of 5 hour-long lunches a week, I worked on my business. That's 4 hours a week. I would have a coffee shop right next to my business. I would bring my laptop every day. I would bump over to that coffee shop, take my lunch, eat my lunch, get a coffee, and probably have between all that time, 45 minutes left of my break, or of my lunch to dedicate to my business. And then, you're talking 3 to 4 hours a week on your business. You can accomplish a lot on your business in that amount of time. Then, of course, before work, after work, and weekends, you can find time to chip away at your business, whether you're getting up early before everyone in your house to chip away at it, at night instead of watching TV, or like I did, I would put my laptop in front of me and watch TV. I don't care. I don't have to be completely engaged. It's, some of the stuff that you do to build your business is a little bit more mindless. So you can pay half attention. It's not a big deal. Or you can turn the TV off and pay full attention, whatever you want to do. It's your business. Build it how you want, but find the time and chip away at the time, because there's a lot that you can chip away at, and a lot of time that you can find. You just got to sit down and figure it out and be motivated enough to do it, disciplined enough to do it. The second thing I did was math. I did some math to figure out what my current salary was Well, I didn't do math because I knew what my current salary was, but I broke that into weekly. How much did I make a week, bring home? And then I broke that into daily. How much did I bring home daily? What was my daily income? And I figured that out for every day. So I broke that into even including Saturday and Sundays, because when you sell online, you're making money Saturdays and Sundays as well. And then what I did was I took that figure, my daily sales or my daily income, and I figured out with Etsy, how many sales do I need to at least match that daily income from my job? And that's less, take away the production costs and fees. What do you actually make from your Etsy sales on average? How many of those sales would you then need to match your daily income for your job? That's what I knew in my mind. I figured that out, and that was my goal. I wanted to at least match that before I decided to leave. And yeah, that gets harder. As you're making more money in your Etsy business, it gets harder and harder because you're pretty much almost doubling your income. So you're making some good money, but you're also working your butt off at the same time. So that's where it gets hard. It's like, do I want to leave my corporate job and lose pretty much half of my income? But the other half of your income is what you built for that reason. Not to mention, you're going to have that much more time where you're not working your corporate job to build your Etsy business even more. You're going to have that extra 40, 50, 60 hours a week to put in your Etsy shop now because you're not working for the man. So that was the math that I did to figure out if I needed to leave or when I could leave potentially. And then the third thing was I planned my exit strategy. Now that I had that number in mind and I was getting close to that number consistently, I'm not talking about one-offs, I was consistently meeting or exceeding that number that I had. That was my goal of my daily sales number. I planned my exit strategy complete with a pros and cons list. And that was what kind of sealed the deal for me to see, okay, what are the real pros and what are the real cons to me doing this? And then from there, I looked at the pros and cons list, and the pros look pretty good. So I'll take you through the cons and the pros right now so that you guys kind of know the big ones that I came up with. And these I wrote these down probably 25, 30 times over and over again to see if there was anything new or there was anything that changed, just to make sure that I had everything, that I was prepared. So the cons of leaving was, steady paycheck. What if I left and my sales dipped, or I had an off week, an off month, an off quarter? I'd be making less money. That's kind of scary. I don't have that steady paycheck. Also health insurance and other benefits, 401k. I wouldn't have those. Even though you can go out and on the marketplace and you can get health insurance, you can get your own benefits, and realistically, those health insurance and those benefits you're paying for anyways. They come out of your paycheck. You're literally paying for them. You're not getting them for free in most companies. So you'd be doing the same thing on the marketplace. And as far as my experience with it, I'm paying about the same, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more when it comes to the health insurance than I paid for my company. So really no difference there. Paid time off. Sure, you may not get paid time off, but that's something that you can take time off with your own business. Maybe you're not quote unquote getting paid, but you're not working. Your business is working for you 24/7, so you're still making sales. You're not directly working and then getting that money. So some of it is passive. What if sales drop or something goes wrong, then I don't know how to fix it or whatever the case may be. That's something, things happen, bad things happen when you run your own business. Bad things happen when you're working for the man. You find solutions and you move on. So no real change there. And then the security, the job security. It's like, oh, I've been in this job for 11 years. I don't want to leave. And then, I feel secure. I know what I'm doing. I have my routine. But honestly, it's a false sense of security. If COVID has taught us anything, we're in a false sense of security. You can get laid off. You can get fired. The positions can go away. at the drop of a hat. So there's really no security anywhere. At least with running your own business, you're in control. You can control certain things where if you're working for someone else, you can't control them wanting to fire you or them firing you. But if your sales dip or you run into a problem, you can control what you do to fix that. And there are things that you can do to fix that. So those were the cons that I kind of came up with. But then, like I went through with you, I put them in perspective with the actual, are they real cons or they're fears, but they're not something that I can't overcome. So the pros, and these were big, and this is what I looked at, the pros were much bigger than the cons. The upside was much bigger than the downside. So the biggest pro was more time, including my drive time, an hour to work each way. Some, depending on traffic, it could be a half hour to an hour each way to work. So including traffic and the hours that I work, I was looking at least 50 more hours a week to spend on my own business that I didn't have currently because I was working and driving to work. I mean, that is an enormous amount of time when I'm working 5 to 6 hours a week on my business on the side and struggling to do that. Now, if I could go from 6 hours to 50 hours, I mean, holy crap, what could I accomplish with 50 more hours in a week? I mean, that's insane to think about. So you're betting on yourself to be able to spend that much more time on your business. Little or no driving, that's a pretty big pro. I mean, especially if you were doing, an hour to 2 hours a day driving. What a waste of time in your day to be able to drive. Not to mention, gas, car payment, insurance. And I talked about this, way before, episodes and episodes ago on the podcast, when I first left my corporate job just to make sure that I had extra money just in case, I actually sold my car. My fiance had a car, so we shared a car. It's not like I didn't have a car, but I was close enough to everything. I rode my bike to the post office, to the store. I was close enough if I needed to do something like that, I could, but I sold my car. So I literally saved $700 a month by doing that because I wasn't paying for gas, I wasn't paying for my car payment, and I wasn't paying for insurance. And all that together was $700 a month. So talk about saving money to invest in your business to use as a safety net. That was a huge chunk of money. And I didn't have a car for 6 months when I first stepped away from the corporate job. Could I have kept my car? Absolutely, I could have. But I was like, man, just in case, I'm going to put that $700 in the bank. I'm going to keep it as a safety net. And I don't really need a car if I'm working from home. I don't have to go anywhere besides the post office. Otherwise, my fiance has a car, if I absolutely needed it. So there's solutions like that. And that was a big one for me to save as much money. I remember I canceled cable as well. Different things like that to save a little bit extra money to kind of put you in the right position. So then later on, you can get all those things back and more, but it really kind of helps ease the pain early on. The next big pro was freedom over time. So this was huge. I know you still work, sometimes 40, 50 hours a week. You don't have to, and you don't have to work when your boss tells you to work. Maybe you want to wake up in the morning and do other things and then work later in the day. Maybe you want to work in the morning and take the afternoon off. You could do that. Time freedom is huge. You don't realize how huge it is until you have it. Someone's not telling you what hours to work, what to do in those hours. I mean, it's amazing. There's no one looking over your shoulder. You're your own boss. You can do what you want to do when you want to do it. So those were the pros that I talked about, and honestly, the freedom over your time is probably one of the biggest ones that really kind of made things appealing. That really set in stone what I was going to do, what I was going to leave the corporate world and work for myself full time, and that's exactly what I did. So after I planned this stuff all out, I planned my exit in I think it took a couple of months, and I had my end date, and I worked towards that, and I stepped away, and I haven't looked back since. But that was the process that I went through, and that's a process that all of you guys can go through no matter what position you're in. You can set those goals. Where do you need to be? I know a lot of that depends on how your Etsy shop is doing, but there's a lot of proactive things you guys can do to improve your Etsy shop. If you're dedicated, you're consistent, and you're treating your Etsy shop, like an actual business, and putting the necessary time and energy into your business. But it's possible. Lots of people are doing it. You guys can do it too. There's no reason why you can't, but just understand that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some planning, some preparation, some dedication from you. And it's certainly not easy, but it is possible. But hey, if it's easy, it's probably not worth it, is kind of the model that I go by. If this is something that you want to do, if you want to eventually go full-time, I want to inspire you to do that. I want to motivate you to do that. I want to let you know that you can do that. All right, so that is all I have for today. Don't forget to go and download the free Get to Your First 100 Sales Guide to help you guys get to 100 sales and beyond. If you're struggling to get some momentum in your shop and struggling to get those sales, you can get it at handmadeandbeyond.com/100 sales. But that is it. Hopefully this podcast helped you. I'm looking forward to coming back with another awesome podcast for you guys very soon. Have an amazing rest of your day, and